Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Our top stories in the news tonight. A passenger train and a LIKILI public service bus collide in MPIKA district. Governance actors weigh in on claims of political persecution. A policy think tank criticizes government's decision to stop selling maize to millers. In international news, fighting resumes after Eid in Sudan. And in sports news, Zambia to compete in the World Chess Championship.
On Monday, 3rd July 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guests, Mr. Brebda Changala, political activist.
We are not swimming ashore. If we are not careful, we might sink.
And Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
So it's a serious matter of worry.
As they discuss concerns of human rights in Zambia.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello again, the news in detail. Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights has emphasized the value of inclusive and multi-sectoral approaches to addressing child marriages in Zambia. In an interview with Camnet News, Institution Director Richard Nkua notes that despite the enactment of the Child Code Bill, issues affecting children in Zambia, such as early marriages and deferment, among others, keep on increasing. He has called on the government to harmonize customary and statutory laws to avoid loopholes and inconsistencies. Meanwhile, Advocates for Child Justice Executive Director Josephat Njovu has re-echoed the need to partner with the government to continue teaching communities about the harmful impact of child marriages. More in this report.
The high number of child marriages in Zambia is a national crisis, despite the country having seen the Child Code Bill become law with an aim to solidify the rights and protection among others. The country continues to record various issues affecting children. In Nega, Mazabuka District, Southern Province, this 14-year-old girl was at the verge of finding herself married due to the fact that she fell pregnant. The man who impregnated her is 18 years old. Beatrice, not her real name, has dropped from school with the intention of getting married. Most of her mates in this area of Nega are married. Some got married at the age of 12. The victim, who is in grade 7, was not comfortable talking to this reporter, nor the man who impregnated her. However, the man indicated that he was not comfortable with the case being reported to the police, pleading that it be resolved away from the law. Mother to the victim could not control herself but lament why her daughter was defiled.
That she can even collapse, like she's sort of common.
Considering the fact that she's a general worker with a lower income, marriage was the last resort she thought of her 14-year-old daughter. Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights has emphasized the value of inclusive and multi-sectoral approaches to address child marriage in Zambia. The organization says it has so far retrieved 156 girls from early marriage across the country from January 2023 to date.
The challenges that we are facing in order to eliminate early marriages, number one is finances and also materials that can support sensitize the communities in all the areas in this country, all the districts in this country. Apart from that, also we have got a challenge. The church is not fully involved in fighting gender-based violence, more especially against a girl child. We need to come together as a church, media, and also other community leaders, so that we come together, we team up together, we sensitize the community.
Meanwhile, advocates for child justice calls on the need to teaching communities about the harmful impact of child marriage.
It's unfortunate that we continue getting reports of children that are being defiled by adults. Adults are meant to protect these children. Unfortunately, I think with the events that have been happening recently and showing the statistics of increase in defilement, I think it's very unfortunate, and then there's need for us as civil society organization, government institutions and parents as well to make sure that we bring this issue to a stop.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Police in MPIKA have recorded a rail traffic accident involving a Tazara passenger train and a LIKILI public service bus. The accident occurred today around 13 hours at Kawuka railway crossing point in MPIKA district. Zambia Police Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale says initial investigations revealed that the bus hit the passenger train. He says police officers are currently at the scene of the accident, adding that the state of the passengers on both the train and the bus is yet to be ascertained. Shangombo District Commissioner Mubita Siamana has called on the local business community to take advantage of the plenty of land in Shangombo District of Western Province and consider investing in fuel service stations. In an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Mr. Siamana says Shangombo District is one of the fastest growing rural communities in Zambia. However, the lack of certain facilities such as a bank and fueling stations continue to derail development. He regrets that people have to travel to either Senanga or Mongo districts in order to access these facilities.
As a fast-growing district in Zambia, one of the fast-growing districts in Zambia, I'd want to appeal to the would-be investors to take advantage of our district. We have, in terms of land is plenty. We have a lot of land. All what we are looking forward to is any investor who could come and invest in a banking facility and a filling station. These are the two major key areas we are looking forward to as a district. So it is fertile for development. It does affect us very much, and to an extent where if you need to do the procurement of fuel, one has to travel to Senanga. And that is consuming fuel, like reducing the stock. Even when it comes to banking, we rely on Senanga, Zanaco or Mungu. So we're making this passionate appeal to the would-be investors. Please take advantage of our district. It is very, very fertile for development.
The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCDR, has challenged investigative wings to be conducting thorough investigations before arresting people. In recent weeks, there have been concerns from the opposition political party leaders that they are being persecuted by government through arrests and detentions before being formally charged. And JCDR Executive Director Father Alex Muyebe tells Camnet News that it is critical that police do their work in a manner that it does not leave room for insinuations related to political persecution. And social scientist Innocent Kolala underpins the need to ensure that the enforcement of the rule of law does not undermine human rights. More in this report.
President Hakainde Hichilema, ever since he took over office in the year 2021, he has been a proponent of the rule of law and good governance. Among the key pronouncements has been the need for law enforcement agencies to be conducting thorough investigations before effecting arrests. However, there has been an emerging trend where people are arrested and only charged after spending nights in police cells, thus contradicting the rules of justice according to governance actors. The casualties of this tactic, who are mostly opposition political party leaders, have tended to believe that it is a tantamount to political persecution. We spoke to the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR Executive Director, Father Alex Muyebe, who challenged the investigative wings to be conducting investigations before arresting people.
Fuel the speculation that maybe a certain section of the society is being persecuted, as it were, But so what we'd like to see is that before any arrest can be done, they should have all the evidence gathered, and also as soon as the arrests have been made, there should be a very quick process of the legal process through the courts of law, so that these matters are quickly concluded, and so it's in court through this process of legal prosecution that you'll be able to tell where the truth lies.
Father Muyeve says there is a need to ensure that the rules of justice are fairly applied.
Maybe persecution of some sectors of the society, but it's only when the matters have come through the courts that it will be able to make an informed decision. At the moment, it's people just taking sides without maybe there are reasons why people can take sides to say, well, maybe some families are being targeted or some individuals are being targeted. But if these matters are prosecuted professionally, and then we'll be able to arrive at the conclusion, each one of us will be able to make an informed decision or form an informed opinion as to what exactly is happening.
We also spoke to social scientist Innocent Kolala, who also called on investigative wings to be operating within the confines of the law to avoid denting the image of the head of state.
Article 15 of the Constitution also talks about ensuring that no one is supposed to be subjected for brutality, even in terms of torture. I think as they are investigating as well as prosecuting, the police need to ensure that they abide to this. And for real, His Excellency, our Republican President, his tone has been very, very clear of ensuring that the human rights is being upheld. Not only human rights, even the rule of law is supposed to be upheld. But what we have started reading in the tabloid, as well as, of course, seeing what is happening, I think, in the in other media houses, I think is very, very, very unfortunate that we have seen that the police, I think they want to derail, they want to disappoint His Excellency, our Republican President, in terms of ensuring that the rule of law is attained.
Well, according to Edward Snowden, the rule of law does not mean police are in charge, but that we all answer to the same laws.
Again, don't say the government is witch hunting. No. Give to Caesar.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Community Action Against Corruption has observed that it is not a new phenomenon by politically exposed people arrested by the law enforcement agencies in Zambia to label the fight against corruption as a political witch hunt. Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo notes that even during the late Levi Mwanawasa's administration, the fight against corruption was labeled a tribal and political witch hunt. He says labeling the fight against corruption as a political witch hunt has mainly been used by those people who were given the power to preside over state resources but decided to abuse the state resources.
In Zambia, corruption fight has always been labeled political witch hunt by the people arrested by the investigative wings of government. Even during the time of President Levi Mwanawasa, those who were found wanting by the investigative wings of government and got arrested, they labeled that fight as political witch hunt. So even the labeling of the current political corruption fight as a political witch hunt is not a new thing. It has been a defensive mechanism by those people who abused the office when they were given power to preside over the affairs of the country by participating in the abuse of state resources. So Zambians should be very much careful. They should not be swayed by the cries of the people who are labeling the current fight against corruption as political witch hunt. This will continue because they are a section of society who exactly understands the fact that if this fight against corruption gets successive, some people will lose their freedoms. So these people will go out and label the fight against corruption by whatever means they can use to win sympathy of the Zambians, so that Zambians can see that there is a political witch hunt and political persecution in Zambia.
The National Restoration Party Deputy Secretary General Martin Mulenga says claims that there is a shrinking civic space is nothing but a political expedition. Mr. Mulenga says the United Party for National Development administration has created a good economic and political environment. He claims that political parties are keen to create a perception that the civic space is shrinking when the opposite is what is true.
This time around has been closed because of any reason, and we've seen that people now are able to participate in their political activities without having to be arrested by anybody else. So there are sessions by certain political parties that the shrinking democratic space is just but a message that is not there to help anybody, but just for political expedience. This country now is enjoying political freedom. People are able to express themselves without having to be victimized by anybody else. And this is what we need for democracy. And we know that we need to be careful in the manner that we handle our democratic space. It does not literally mean that if there's so much freedom, you go into alarming the nation, talking about things that will create confusion in this country. No wonder the law enforcement is at hand to bring to book those that are trying to take things for granted. We've seen that people have even reached an extent that having to forge certain documents, people are trying to put things on social media that are quite alarming to the country. Then when they are called upon, they are trying to say that they are being victimized into issues of not allowing them to participate in our democracy in this country. Those assertions are quite false, and we know that this time around we need to be responsible as politicians in the manner that we handle ourselves.
Patriotic Front Chilubi area member of Parliament Mulenga Fube has urged the UPND administration to develop aggressive homegrown solutions to economic growth besides the International Monetary Fund program. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Fube says celebrating the debt restructuring without homegrown solutions is a danger to the nation. Last month, Zambia's creditors finalized a $6.3 billion debt restructuring agreement, paving the way for the disbursement of $188 million from the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Here's a report.
By striking the debt restructuring deal, Zambia gains valuable breathing space to stabilize its economy, implement necessary reforms, and pursue long-term growth. However, government critics are calling for aggressive homegrown solution to economic growth besides the International Monetary Fund program. Patriotic Front Chilubi area member of Parliament Mulenga Fube has called on the United Party for National Development administration to develop more aggressive homegrown solution to stimulate domestic resources mobilization with emphasis on private sector lead economic growth.
We need to participate in the batteries of lithium and copper. We should not just be a country that should be extracting raw material and sending elsewhere. We need to set up industry here. That is a starting point. That will improve our export value, that will compete favorably with the import value. That is what we talk about when we talk about balance of payments. We have read homegrown solution, and the starting point is utilization of our natural potential, which includes soil, which includes water, which includes forestry product, which also includes the minerals. And we can get employment in the private sector.
Mr. Fu has called for more work to ensure that the economic turnaround translates into real improvement of the welfare of the ordinary Zambian man and woman on the street. He says the nation is expecting that the debt restructuring makes resources available to unlock a robust economic diversification with meaningful and impactful investment in key economic productivity sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, rural electrification, tourism, and local participation in mining to create decent jobs and raise the levels of household and income across the country.
In Bemba they say akachila kambushi kasengolop keke and come to meaning that what you have in the hand is what you should use to sustain your life. So we have what we can use to sustain our life. If anything, it is even an embarrassment for us to be crying for money like 188 million. Because we can make 188 million within Zambia using our own resources. We can make 188 million using our water, using our land. So it is really a realization that has to occur upon us that we need to pick up ourselves and focus on where it matters. Invest in irrigation so that we can have food throughout the year. Invest in exploration of mining and make sure that we make our youths busy in terms of mining activities. That should be a starting point so that when they produce, we also add value to those minerals.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development has criticized the government's decision to abruptly stop the sale of maize to millers. Last month, the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, announced that it is no longer selling maize to millers, grain traders, or any member of the public with immediate effect. Speaking with Camnet News, CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo notes that the decision taken may compel the millers to be buying grain at an expensive price and transfer the burden to consumers. He says government should have first focused on improving the production of grain before halting the supply of the commodity to milling companies.
Per year, we do understand that the country needs close to 3 million metric tons for human, industrial consumption needs. And if you look at our production in our country, it has always been hovering between 2.5 to around 3 million metric tons. So to make an abrupt decision of stopping to supply the millers will actually now create serious challenges in terms of the millers sourcing for grain. What would have expected from the Center for Trade Policy and Development is that government through the Ministry of Agriculture they should have worked with entities like the Zambia National Service, the Zambia Correctional Service to first begin by improving the output in the agricultural sector, move our production from around 3 million metric tons to 5 million metric tons on an annual basis. Then you have the luxury to make decisions like the one that they have made, in the sense that you have over surplus in the country, and it is a surplus that the millers will ultimately begin to buy. But the decision that has abruptly been made, it means that the millers would have to source for grain, especially in times that we have reduction in the supply. It will mean that they'll be buying grain at quite expensive prices, which will ultimately be passed on to consumers whenever they're buying milling meal. So our recommendation to government through the Ministry of Agriculture is that they should become more coordinated. They should focus first on improving our level of productivity, and ultimately they can begin to make decisions like the one that has been taken by the Food Reserve Agency.
This is Camnet Television and not just another channel. We'll take our first break. Join us for more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rainglow, your smart irrigation partner.
On Monday, 3rd July 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guests, Mr. Brebda Changala, political activist.
We are not swimming ashore. If we are not careful, we might sink.
And Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
So it's a serious matter of worry.
As they discuss concerns of human rights in Zambia.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Youths in Kabwe's Wacha constituency have passed a vote of no confidence against the area member of parliament, Sydney Mushanga. The youths say the area member of parliament in the past 2 years has been a letdown, accusing him of being an absentee parliamentarian. Meanwhile, addressing the aggrieved youths, Kabwe Central Member of Parliament, Mrs. Chrysosta Perry, has assured them that government will always prioritize and take keen interest on issues that affect them regardless of their political affiliation. The lawmaker further encouraged the aggrieved youths to partner with the current government in fostering development in their respective constituencies.
These youths that you are seeing behind me, they are passing a vote of no confidence in you because you have no capacity anymore and that you are just there to enrich yourself. Leadership is pambana pa kulira yo. As you see, our youths are tabakwete shanchito, tabakwete rani CTF yari ba increase, tapala fubare muna constituency yenu. Eko abantu nabakano kwiba. Lero chobalanda chakutira ati pave way for new legs, for fresh legs that will take water to another level. We want to appreciate you for what you have done, but not anymore. Therefore, in the name of Jesus, go!
You are the children of UPNG chairperson Mamusepela. So, decision of Mrepanga, Kulila Kwenu, the government always have an. Whether Mutumuliku, who constitutes the opposition member of parliament, but the government you want to sit with your member with the parapene, Ale Posa Kwamano Kumisepela. Naba namayo. That's why if you look at Zambia this time, Taisa la government kuperenda la mila pay the same amount of money. But what we want is the people to make sure that you access development, you access health.
Independent Churches of Zambia, ICOS, President David Masupa has urged religious leaders to avoid dragging the church into politics. Bishop Masupa says the church is filled with members who have different political affiliations and interests, and that must be respected. He said the church should not be used to persuade members into following one political ideology against the other. Bishop Masupa was speaking during a special ordination service for Alfred Chingambo as Bishop and National Overseer of the Pentecostal Showers Bible Church in Lusaka's Kamala South. The bishop urged the clergy to instead pray for those tasked with the responsibility to manage the affairs of the country. He said the pulpit should be used to pray for government leaders and to support the development agenda and not to divide the flock. The ICOS president further appealed to church members to support the newly installed bishop of the Pentecostal Showers Bible Church, which was established in 2001 and registered as a church with a registrar of societies in 2021. Center for Media Rights Watch and Protection of Journalists Zambia has called on the government to assist media institutions address some of the issues affecting them. Center for Media Rights Watch Executive Director Mweya Mukumbota says the country is in a frenzy of debt restructuring. Media houses should take advantage of this opportunity by engaging the government through relevant line ministries to see how the debt they owe to the statutory bodies can be restructured or cancelled. He adds that this will help improve organizational costs for media houses who in turn will be able to pay journalists and other workers on time.
We have made an observation that while the country is still in a frenzy mode of debt restructuring, media owners and houses should take advantage of this opportunity by engaging government through relevant line ministries to see how the debt they owe to statutory bodies can be restructured or cancelled to allow them put their houses in order. This observation we as Center for Media Rights Watch and Protection of Journalists in Zambia have made will bring about improved operational costs for media houses who will in turn be able to pay journalists and other workers on time. We note that there is no better time than this period to kickstart debt restructuring process among media houses with governments through the Media Owners Association of Zambia as a vehicle too. As an organization, we feel that such an important engagement and dialogue with government on challenges that the media in Zambia continues to face will be of great benefit not only to media owners and journalists, but this will ensure that media houses that have been defaulting in paying statutory obligations will not be shut down, but will be allowed to restructure their debt, which in turn will enable them to continue disseminate information to citizens. In conclusion, we wish to further call on government and media owners in the country to come to a consensus as quickly as possible on the need to have a sector minimum wage and salary for journalists in the country if we are to sustain their professionalism and integrity.
This is Camnet Television Main News. Join us for international sports news after the break.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
On Monday, 3rd July 2023 on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guests, Mr. Brebda Changala, political activist.
We are not swimming ashore. If we are not careful, we might sink.
And Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
So it's a serious matter of worry.
As they discuss concerns of human rights in Zambia.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, there are reports of heavy fighting between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan. The RSF say they have downed a fighter jet over Omdurman. Sporadic gunfights and airstrikes are taking place in the capital, Khartoum. At least 1,000 people have been killed since April and more than 2 million forced from their homes. Sudan's Civil Aviation Authority has extended the closure of the airspace to all air traffic until July 10, with the exception of humanitarian aid flights. We'll monitor Al Jazeera and African News for more.
The fighting started in the early hours of Sunday morning, around 5 a.m. local time, which is around 3 a.m. GMT, in the northern part of the city of Omdurman, the twin city of the capital, Khartoum. Now, people in the area, in the northern part of Omdurman, say that the rapid support forces tried to attack the Sudanese army position, and this is near an army airbase where the fighter jets that have been targeting the paramilitary rapid support forces have been taking off from. So the battles continued with heavy airstrikes launched by the Sudanese army against the Rapid Support Forces fighters on the ground. There were also ground confrontations and battles ongoing, and it extended up to the central part of the city of Omdurman. But that's not the only place where there's been fighting. In the northern parts of the capital as well, there's been airstrikes launched, there's been artillery strikes in the eastern part of the capital, and the Rapid Support Forces said that it downed a Sudanese army fighter jet in the northern part of the capital in the city of Bahri. And now it's not clear what happened to the pilot who was flying the fighter jet. Neither the army nor the Rapid Support Forces gave an update about his condition. But people say that they know that, that there was, after the ending of the ceasefire between the Rapid Support Forces and the Sudanese army on the first day of Eid on Wednesday, they knew that fighting would intensify. And now residents say that they still remain trapped between the Rapid Support Forces and the Sudanese army as the fighting on the ground continues with no political solutions in sight.
Burundian troops with the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia celebrated their country's 61st Independence Day in Mogadishu and Johar on Saturday. The events in both cities were attended by high-ranking officials, including ATMIS and United Nations representatives, such as the head of the African Union Transition Mission, Ambassador Mohamed El-Amin Souef. It is thanks to them that Burundi has contributed immensely to the ideal universal peace through political solutions anchored on mediation and constant engagement in favor of peace and security. Burundi has never hesitated to invest in peacekeeping operations, which to many people represent the unique hope for finding peace, like in Somalia and Central Africa.
With more than 3,000 Burundian troops committed to the largest AU peace support operation, you are making a difference daily to the security of the Somali people.
Burundi gained independence from Belgium on July 1st, 1962.
It's now time for sports news. Now, sports news tonight. The Chess Federation of Zambia President Leslie Chikose will be sending off Chitumbo Mwali to Azerbaijan to compete for the World Championship. Zambia qualified among the few African countries for the global showpiece. And Federation President Leslie Chikose tells Camnet Sports that Mwali has an opportunity to make the country. And Chikose is happy as Zambian Chandan Sakanya is the only African arbiter who has been selected to officiate at the World Championship.
Sending off our Zambia World Championship, representative Chitumbo Mwali to Azerbaijan. That is that is in July 29th. Chitumbo Mwali, as you may be aware, Zambia qualified amongst the few African countries that are going to basically take part in the World Championship in Azerbaijan. And Zambia will be represented by international master and current national champion Chitumbo Mwali in Azerbaijan, where he's going to fight for the World Championship. Now, the World Championship is the biggest world event. If, for example, Chitumbo Mwali was to win that championship, of course it's got stages, but if he was to win up to the final, he becomes the world champion. You can imagine how big that tournament is. So it's a tournament which gives him an opportunity to become world champion. So all the world champions take part in that tournament. So we're going to have the likes of Magnus Carlsen, Ding, and all the greatest players, the likes of Garry Kasparov, Karpov, Bobby Fischer, have all played at the World Championship. So this is the tournament, and of course, Chitumbo will be going with our arbiter, Chandan Sakanya, who is the only African who has been picked to become the referee at that World Championship. The only Africa. So Zambia, through international arbiter Chanda Sakanya, is the only Zambian that is going to be an arbiter at the World Championship.
To end Camnet television news, the top stories once again. A passenger train and a LIKILI public service bus collide in MPIKA district. Governance actors weigh in on claims of political persecution. A policy think tank criticizes government's decision to stop selling maize to millers. In international news, fighting resumes after Eid in Sudan. And in sports news, Zambia to compete in the World Chess Championships. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Matthew 5, verse 9 to 10. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Thank you so much for watching Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.